Welcome to Two Psychics. This is Michael Edley, evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Two Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
What is up, everyone? Michael Edley here, one part of Two Psychics, and I am here with my other half, Mary Amy. What's going on, Mary Amy?
How is everyone tonight? Here we are. It is episode 51 of Two Psychics Show podcast. And we hope you're enjoying our shows. And we have a wonderful night ahead of us. We have a guest, Stacy Schaffer, and she's a medium. She's a healer. She's an astrology reader and channel guidance. And we have two callers. How are you, Michael? What's new? What's going on?
I am doing good. Things are just in full swing. I feel like I've been going nonstop. It was good. It was a funny day. It was one of those days where I just had a lot going on, different meetings, different appointments. I just felt like every time I turned around, I was running to a different location, another place. And the funny thing was, in the midst of all this, I said, wow, we have the show tonight. We're doing the show on Wednesday night tonight. And it was funny. It brought this surreal just peace over me. And I was just looking forward to it. And I was very excited to do the show tonight and looking forward to speaking with another medium, Stacy Schaffer. That's going to be really cool. And she does a lot of different things, the astrology and, a lot of aspects that I want to talk about how she incorporates that into her mediumship, which I'm very curious about. And yeah, it's just, I've been going. So it's a nice reprieve to kind of get in the zone and be here with you and with everyone tonight.
I agree with you. I, on the other hand, today I was a little bit tired and I said, oh my gosh, how am I going to do it? But you know what? All of a sudden I rally. I start getting ready. I'm getting excited. I get my equipment together to get over here and I rally. And this week I went, well, actually, I guess it's considered last week. I went to Sunday Mass and I all of a sudden, had this moment, and this has happened to me. I go to church and I find my peace there. And sometimes I connect to angels. Usually I go into some kind of other, I guess, surreal connection. And I heard talk about light. And that's something that I always spoke about in the past whenever I did videos. So I'm going to just speak about light and what exactly is that. So light, you want to say spiritual light, is a very powerful energy and it's connected to the divine or a higher power, a source. And it's an all energy vibration within all living things. So we all have light. And I say, go to a light source. What does that mean? That means look at a sunrise, a sunset. Try to bring light into yourself, inside your being, because light diminishes darkness and negativity. And when we're feeling a lot of emotions or we have something that brings us down, we have to remind ourselves because we can shut it down. I did it the other day. I said, that's it. It's only going to be good stuff now. That's it. I'm going to bring all the light and I'm going to speak of it. And I'm going to, extricate it from my life and I'm not going to allow it. So light is love, it's healing, it's wisdom, it's peace, and it brings awareness to all living things that we are connected, right? So we can go to a light source like a sunset or a sunrise. We can do a visualization like we do or a meditation and we bring light into our system like we just did the other day with Joe Garner, and he gave us a meditation and he spoke about a ball of light going down into our crown chakra and behind within us. We can imagine the light that's in our hearts and we can just keep speaking of it and closing our eyes and seeing it, okay? And it will illuminate situations and bring more clarity. And nature will do this. And you also can find light in your sleeping dreams. And you can find light through service to others. And what you want to do is you want to radiate light all around your being, which maybe close your eyes and visualize it surrounding you and allow it to embrace your heart, and all of your being, your bones, your flesh, your organs. I used to always say this one saying during all my live videos. I'd say, light on the horizon. Good things are coming beyond your view. A difficult situation will happen, will occur. What does that mean exactly? Well, I would have these dreams that I get up and I'd see this picture window and I'd go to the window, and this would be literally a dream, and I would remember it vividly. And I'd look out this window and I would see light on the horizon. Sometimes I'd see water below it. And doing this will change you. I promise you. So speak of light.
It's interesting you speak about dreams and the dreams you had, because that's one of the most important factors that occurs when someone is going through that spiritual awakening. And when we're so caught up in the daily, the daily processes and procedures of life, we forget, we forget about our spiritual self. We forget about our that divine connection that we have. And in the dreamlike state, that's that space that our analytical right brain shuts down and that creative mind opens. And, when we're going into those deep levels of sleep, that's where, that 9 hertz is where mediumship connection happens. I mean, that's what they've discovered in the lab. That's what, we've found is the sweet spot for mediumistic energy, psychic energy. And there seems to be this cross at 9 hertz that occurs. And also in the dreamlike state that happens. And that's where our loved ones, our guides, the angelic realm, they can get through to us because the human condition isn't controlling and harnessing the mind, So we have to really, really be open and really listen to the dreamlike state that we're in. And that's what I said. You're fortunate that you can remember it vividly. Most people don't. So the best thing you could do is have a small journal, a little book where right next to your bedside table, and jot down any important names, numbers, dates, whatever it may be. Write that down, or have your phone and just record it. Do a voice memo. I find it's easier to do it in a little journal because I can go back to it. And what I do is I keep 1 page for each day, and I start trying to see if there's synchronicities. Like, what are my guides? What is spirit trying to show me that for whatever reason, I'm not tuning into during my waking hours? And I would find that in the early days, that would happen a lot. It doesn't happen, I'm pretty connected at this point, so I don't really have to connect with them in a dreamlike state. It happens very easily, here and now. But if you're having an awakening or you're on that spiritual path, don't discredit the dreams that are coming to you, and don't discredit a loved one coming into you, coming into your dream and giving you a message or just letting you know they're okay, because that's the easiest way for them to connect with someone that's dealing with deep, devastating grief. And the mind sometimes, for protection, it doesn't allow us to process that. And that can cause a lot of issues, and when we can't process that, our loved ones see that, and they know, and they want to try to let us know that they're watching over us, they're around us, they're connected to us. And, that's where they can get that message through. They can get it through in a dream. So don't discredit the dream. Very, very important. And it's a big part, when they're talking about crossing over, a lot of our theme of tonight's show is, crossing over. And what we need to understand is what we know about death and dying, and what humans thought this is what it is, and the physical, is the here and now, and we die and it's over. That's completely false. So what we need to understand is what we know about death, it's not accurate in any sense. The body dies, the soul continues on. So that's what everyone needs to understand too, with crossing over. It's from death to life. It's not from death to permanently gone. It's just energy, and we're transitioning into a different form. Our loved ones still want to connect to us and have a relationship to us, to our family structure, to everything we're doing. And I think the biggest thing and the biggest hurdle that people have is kind of letting go of the preconceived notions that are around death and dying, and things that society is kind of imprinted on it. And, it's very bizarre. But if we look at ancient culture, a lot of time we go back to ancient cultures and what ancient cultures did, and how they had, it was almost like a celebration of life. And we still have that to some degree, but I think they honored the passage into the other spiritual realm, and we have to get back to that. People have to start awakening to that. People are. And I think it's so important when we're trying to process grief and we're trying to understand death, that we have to, the first ground rule to that is there is no death. The soul does not die. Our energy and our consciousness continues on. That's it.
Okay, back to what you were saying about dreams, and I want to talk about the crossing overs. I too agree that there's so much value to our dreams, because we are entering another realm. We are entering a place that we're actually, our system is more calm, and it's allowing our higher consciousness to take over a bit. And maybe a loved one will show itself. There'll be a problem that you can't deal with during your waking life, and you can pose a question before you go to sleep and say, okay, when I go to sleep tonight, help me solve this, because you have the answers within you. Now, in regard to those who don't remember their dreams, I've learned, because I did do the dream journal, my dream journal by Mary Amy, you can find it on Amazon. I'm pitching that. If you remind yourself before you go to sleep, oh, I want to remember my dreams, eventually within 2 weeks, usually every single person that does this remembers their dreams. So there is a way to it, because it's like anything. When you ask for it, it shall come. And about crossing over our topic, because we are going to have a caller call in a minute or two. We have one now and we have one later on, if they remember.
Oh, a funny thing, before you talk about crossing over, and I know I already started segueing into that, but you're bringing up so many cool things about dreams. What just came to mind was anyone that's into like rock and roll music and like the band Van Halen and followed them. Interesting thing is their second singer after David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar. He just released a new song, and the very cool thing about this song is he said Eddie Van Halen came to him in that dream, and like they literally wrote this song in a dream and he released it.
Really?
Yeah, wild. So just a little tidbit of information that, we're not the only ones. I tell you, creativity, it flows through the divine, and the divine can reach us in the dream.
Exactly. And it's more happening to me more and more, where I'm having spirits come to me. In fact, not last night, the night before, every night it's getting more advanced. I had children come to me, and I can still remember what they look like. And last night, I know I had people come to me, but it's getting bigger and larger. I close my eyes and I'm hearing my clairaudient, where I'm hearing different sounds, and it's very specific. Something's happening, and maybe messages. I also had something yesterday happen where the number 666, the number 6 came up 7 times, and then it came up 4 times, which is an angel number.
Yeah.
And that was significant. And I said, this is bizarre. Like, how often does that? So I know that there's a lot of things coming to fruition for me. Okay, so crossing over, because I'm expecting someone to call any minute, if they can get through, because you send them the link. Crossing over, what I have is, it's about life. It's life to death. Okay. And that's something that, it's all up for interpretation, but questions are answered about the human existence, right? When we cross over, in fact, I saw a movie last night, and it was all about the afterlife and this life. And we're going to find out, pretty much. When we cross over, we're going to find out. I believe we will. And I know.
Oh, we will. We do. From what they say, we do. We will know.
And it's a crossing over is a biblical term, and it's used to relate to spiritual growth and personal transformation. So you can actually cross over. I use the metaphor about crossing over a bridge. Sometimes with a client, I say, imagine yourself, there's the other side of the bridge, and you want to cross over. And then you want to look over your shoulder and see what you overcame behind you, that obstacle. So the journey crossing over to the other side through divine guidance. Could it be a miracle? It takes courage and strength to undergo these transitions to the promised land. And that's another, spiritual term. So there is a divine plan for you, and it's about letting go of your past suffering. Maybe it's dark night of the soul, and welcoming the new day. Crossing over can also mean ascending to heaven, joining the divine, entering a new phase. And it's beyond human knowledge to the heavenly realm. For me, I believe that crossing over, it has a lot of meanings, but it is about getting to the other side of something. Maybe it's the other side of this lifetime to the next life, right?
Yeah.
We are
Well,
infinite
yeah,
beings.
this life is definitely, there's a lot to this human existence, and there's a lot of experiences we need to have. There's a lot of connections, but I think what it comes down to is we really need to find that space to expand in the energy of love, and truly, if we look at approaching anything from that place of love, I really think it changes all human conditions, and I think the soul goes, this is part of our journey, this human condition, this experience, the people that we help, the people that we love, the people that, maybe we fall out with, it all happens for a reason. Absolutely. And I think it's for our soul's growth. Absolutely. And there's so much to it. There's so much to it, and there's so much to unpack. But if we can be present, and we can be open to learning and growing, I truly believe we can have the gift of a beautiful life and live it, from that space of love. And it's really what you make of it, and it's really, we talk a lot about how you approach things, your mindset, the energy that you bring to any space you're in, the energy you bring to anything you're doing, and that really can shift everything, and it can really create a truly special human existence that I think the soul knew we were meant for. But when we get here, we get caught up in this human energy and these physical senses, and we get caught up in this animalistic, primitive, drives that people need to realize in this human body. We're two. It's the soul and the human, and we're working with both of those energies. And when we cross over, we lose all of the humanness. We lose all of the primitive animal instinct. We lose any kind of ailment, pain, and we transcend the body. So it's a different experience. And what always comes to me in large group readings and things that spirit wants to imprint on their loved ones, and it seems to be, it's very common for them to say, enjoy the physical senses here. We truly, don't indulge to the point where you're gonna, destroy yourself or go down bad roads, but definitely smell the roses, taste the wine, taste the piece of chocolate. I think one thing that, from my understanding, when we cross over, the senses, we don't have the physical body, so we don't have the physical senses. We have the psychic and the energetic senses, and they are so powerful that we don't need any of the physical senses, but they still appreciate the human existence they had, and the flowers they could smell, the fragrances, even the water, that fresh spring morning where you just smell that mist, and it's just, the Irish spring, and just the essence of life. And I think a lot of times while we're living this life, we don't slow down to enjoy the essence of it. We don't slow down to appreciate everything that we have. And that's one thing I think, we're here for. And it's not to just work, a 9-to-5 job and pay bills. And, we're here to create, we're here to love, we're here to have beautiful experiences. And we're here, I think, to share our gifts with, if you have gifts and you're not sharing them, not only are you doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing a disservice to everyone that could appreciate and feel something from those gifts, So that's why we're here. We are truly here to enjoy the essence of this life, and we have to make the best of it.
When you've spoken to spirit, or when you've communicated and they're communicating with you, have they given you any idea about what it's like where they are?
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think it always, my understanding of it always expands, and I always have a new understanding depending on, you know, what I'm doing and how I'm connecting to them. And, you know, am I connecting to them for someone else in a reading or a gallery, or is it in my own meditations that I'm just learning and trying to grow and understand? And it's interesting because we have to think of it in terms of energy. It really, you know, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Energy is. And, you know, from well, I should say that the creation of energy transfers. It can't, you know, it can't be destroyed. And that's as the human body is. The human body has the soul, and the soul transfers. That energy of the soul transcends, and it's an energetic realm. So that's how we have to look at it. We have to look at everything in energy. You know, they're lowering their vibration. We're trying to raise our vibration, and there's this language of energy in the center that we get, you know, symbols and names and colors and knowledge, and just there's many different aspects of energetic communication. And the spirit realm will utilize everything that we know, anything that's in this brain, anything that's in our banks of knowledge. They'll pull from that, and they'll try to utilize our, you know, our understanding and our knowledge base to try to explain to their loved ones what they need to get through, you know. And we develop a language with them. It truly is a language of energy. And it's interesting because for the first portion of my life as a medium, it was, you know, as a young child, I always experienced this, and I just thought that's what it was. I didn't really understand that you can actually fine tune this and learn and grow it. You know, you can utilize it like any other, skill, any other, you know, an instrument, anything like that. You can utilize this just as you would learn an instrument. And people, I don't think really, you know, they're not present enough when they're experiencing these things, and then something crazy happens or something drastic happens in their life, and then they're ready to experience it. So what I say is, before some drastic thing happens, start working with this energy so you can start utilizing it for your highest, best, and good, because your life will never be the same once you start working with this energy. You know, we're only, with the human experience, we're only seeing a small portion of what we can see on an energetic realm. You know, if we truly expand and open, there's just so much information and so much, you know, so much divine connection that can just be brought forth in all aspects of our life. You know,
I'm listening.
You are listening. You are deep in thought because
just
you are
trying
coordinating a
I'm
guest,
just trying to
callers.
understand why exactly. You know
Yeah,
exactly.
see, anyone out there, see, Mary Amy is the brains of the show. See, anyone that's being put on, callers, any stuff that's going on, that's all the behind. We'll have to take them behind the scenes one day and let them see what goes on behind the scenes of a Two Psychics podcast.
That would be very interesting. I'm just trying to send it to maybe it's not sending because I didn't put it to her email address. Do I need to have the person's email address on the Zoom call? I hope not.
I don't think so. I think they, as long as they have the link, they could just link on, and
That's what I thought.
yeah,
Right?
that's what I did.
Okay. Here's this. Let me just send it to her again. Sorry, folks, this is what happens. Like, you try to get everything all squared away, and then they say the ID doesn't work for the call. So, let's see if this
Well,
works.
while you're doing that, we could talk about crossing over the energetic realm of what my understanding is. You asked, I don't know if I fully answered that question. Sometimes I go off on a little tangent here and there, but the easiest way for me to explain it, what we need to understand is when our loved ones cross over, any pain that they've experienced, any physical ailments, any suffering that they've had from the human body's condition, they release that. So they're no longer dealing with that. So if you had someone that couldn't be very present because they were, they were in so much pain, they were sedated on painkillers, things like that going on where you didn't feel like they were aware. I could tell you, they are. And the thing about like the moment of passing, what we need to understand is if we're dealing with someone that is in like a hospice care and we feel like they're incoherent or whatever it may be, that the awareness isn't there, we can't communicate with them, maybe they're not opening their eyes, I could tell you on an energetic level they're understanding and processing on a subconscious energetic level anything you're saying to them. And it comes through all the time in readings. A family member that read a poem or wrote a story, read some Bible scripture, just spent time and shared these experiences with their loved one in those moments of them passing, in those moments of them crossing over. Sometimes those can be the most special moments.
Okay, here we go.
To the person crossing over. So don't think they're not hearing you and understanding what's going on.
Hello, just talking about the subject crossing over. Hi, this is Mary and Michael of Two Psychics. Welcome. How are you tonight?
I'm good.
Hi.
Hello, who is with us tonight?
Emma.
Emma? What is up, Emma? How are you? Where are you calling from?
New York.
New York. All right. So what question did you have for Two Psychics?
I don't have any questions. This is my first time doing this.
Oh, all right, cool. Well, you're in the right place then. All right, so if you don't have a specific question, what we can do, we'll connect on an energetic level and we'll just pull information from your collective. So anything that your collective wants to share with us, we'll share that with you, whether that's your guides, the angelic realm, your loved ones in spirit, whoever that may be. So if you can just give us your first name very slowly, and we're going to connect to you on an energetic level.
Emma.
Okay. What's interesting, Emma, I have very old female energy, and I feel is connected to mom's side of the family. So I think this is mom's mom. Let me ask, so mom is still here, but mom's mom is passed. Is that correct?
No.
Are they both here, or is mom crossed? What's the connection with grandma and mom?
Oh,
are they both here? I'm sorry, what's that?
Yes. So my mom and her mom are both still here.
Okay, so I have old energy that's connected to them then. It feels very grandmother-like. So yeah. I have to ask about a J, like a J initial around mom's side of the family. What's the J, the J-A? Is there a Janet, a Jane?
I don't think so.
Interesting. All right, so I'm just going to bring it through. Not sure. I have older female energy that definitely connected. The way they come into me. So mom's energy always comes into my left side when it's connected to that side of the family, not necessarily mom. But I have old female energy, and I'm definitely getting a J, like a J initial around this female energy. Could be like great grandmother, could be aunt tied to that side of the family. Like, just interest. So I'm not sure what the J is, but there's definitely somewhere in there. There's a J. They're giving me the J initial. I feel like they're also talking about, is there a Tom or a T connected to you here in the physical? Is there like a T that you either work with around the family?
Not that I know of.
All right, so be aware of a Tom, Thomas, or Tommy, something around that name. Yeah. There's positive energy around that name for you. I feel like there's some kind of energetic cycle coming up that I feel like this is either career. There could be, so I feel like there's a transition coming up around you. So there's either a change in relationship, change in job. There's something that's changed. So let me ask you this: Are you
Yes.
looking for a new job? What's that?
Not right now.
There's definitely some kind of transition coming up. I'm not sure what this is, but just be aware. Be aware of the name Tommy as positive energy somewhere around some kind of transition. I feel like there's like a new beginning opening around you. So let me ask you, relationship. Are you in a set relationship? Are you with someone, like a set thing?
No.
No. Okay. So be aware of that name, possibly romantic interest, positive connection. I feel prosperity around it though. So I feel like there's some kind of business, money. Are you an entrepreneur? Would there be like a small business connection, or like you're creating something or doing like a small business entrepreneurial project, or thinking about that?
Yeah, I am kind of thinking about that.
Okay. So that's where it's leading me. Okay. So what is this? What exactly are you like, what do you contemplate? Is this something you're creating? Are you writing and drawing around this?
No.
What is it? What are you doing?
I want to go into baking and having my own culinary business.
Okay, so that's what the writing. Okay, interesting. So the writing I'm seeing around you, definitely recipes, could be that. Baking.
Yes.
What's interesting, I'm seeing you presenting something rather than you being the person cooking it. So I don't know if there's something where you can actually talk about different types of, I don't know whether this is, baking and pastries and different ways you can cook certain things, almost like you would have like be an instructor, an instructional video. And what's weird is I almost see like you creating some kind of like manual. I mean, it could be a cookbook, could definitely be like me seeing the writing and the book thing could definitely be. It's weird because it's almost like branding, and there's like a different spin on it. So I don't know. Do you have some kind of family traditional food, or like baking or something that you prepare and you cook?
I don't really cook at home.
Mm.
I go to school for it.
Okay. Cool. So this is what I would definitely say. So for what I'm getting around you, there's definitely some good energy I would be aware of new energy cycles opening for finances, career. Like if you see an opportunity and it's something you would really love to do, I think you have to take the chance. And if it's something you can kind of do as like a side hustle while you still have a job paying the bills, or what whatever that could be, I feel like there's a good opportunity for the entrepreneurial small business thing to happen around you. I would just be aware of that T initial. I'm feeling it's connected to male energy, and that's why I'm feeling like a Thomas Tommy. So just be aware of that name around you as a positive connection. So I'm gonna hand it off to Mary Amy. Let's see what she's getting.
Hi,
Okay.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hi.
Right off the bat, I saw the image of seashells and sand, and then the sand came up again later. So this is what I received. I received that you have a rhythm, a musical sense. Tunes have always been playing in your head. You are an old soul. You do not entertain anything that will cause you pain. You keep yourself at an arm's distance consciously. And then again, sand came up. And then this is what I saw. I saw, I guess you could say, groups of people out in the physical reality, and you were watching from afar. So you keep a distance away from others. Okay, you have a lot of love within you. And then I received information about a past life. Okay, well, also I want to say, you are, you don't allow any trouble around you, or people getting in your way. So as a child, you realized exactly how you wanted to be in your future. You decided it. That's where the old soul comes in. So then I received related to your past life, and that you were someone who traveled town to town. Okay, you're a traveler, and then I saw books surrounding you, like ancient papers and scrolls and books. And then at the tail end of it, I received that you're very lighthearted. Entertainment is important to you. And that falls back to the rhythm and the musical sense. And then I saw, this was interesting. I saw these squiggling lines, and it was about writing, and it was related to communication. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, you writing is about you relaying some kind of communication that you want to share with others. Also related to the sand, since I received sand twice in the beginning, and then the sand was between you and you keeping a distance from others. It's about the hourglass, okay? The sand that's in the hourglass, when you flip over, maybe it's an egg timer or for a game. You're very conscious of time passing.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Okay.
So I would just be open to new energetic connections, and definitely pursue whatever that entrepreneurial calling that you have. Definitely look into that. If you're not putting time and energy into that, you should be. All right, but thank you so much for calling, Emma. We really appreciate your time, and hope you enjoyed your call with two psychics.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too.
Bye. I'm never going to figure out how to click people off. They have to figure out themselves. To do right now.
Yeah, we'll just have a couple co-hosts, let everyone stay on.
Okay, so I just want to give everyone, because we have our guest coming on in a few moments. So I'm going to share with you some information about her and about upcoming shows. Here we are. It's episode 51. It's May 14th. And so, Michael, if you'd like to find any information about Michael, he's on all the social media. His website is eyeofthespirits.com. Mine is maryamyofficial.com. You can get Two Psychics radio, podcast, merchandise from Spreadshop. Now, upcoming, we have May 29th, we have Kaylin Olson, who's a mystic and sacred beauty. June 5th, we have Stephanie Potter, who's a spiritual channel, intuitive guide, and Akashic record guide. That I'm excited about. And also in June, we have Amy Robson, and I don't know the date yet, healer. And we have an interview that we're giving, which we have to kind of figure that out, Michael and I, sometime soon, for this sort of short podcast. All right, our guest, because she is going to join us, and when she comes on, I want to bring her. I don't want to lose her. Okay, so her name is Stacy Schaffer. I do some searching. I look for those out there, get suggestions. Maybe Michael gives me a suggestion, or someone does, or I find them at a healing fair. Someone who has a pure heart. I'm looking for raw, because it's not about the buck. It's not commercialized. It's people that are really pursuing love and goodness and service to others. And Stacy Schaffer fit the bill. So she's a medium, a healer, an astrology reader, and channel and guidance. We haven't had anybody do astrology yet, so I'm interested to hear what she has to say. So this is from her website. You can see her website. You can find it. It is Stacy Schaffer Medium.com. It's going to be on the post for this episode. And from her website, she says she receives for guidance, channeled guidance from angels, guides, and for loved ones in spirit. She gives astrology readings, receives guidance of the use of innate strengths in your birth chart to meet challenges in your life. She also, Stacy, gives energy healing, Reiki, and other modalities for energy healing. She does this in person and long distance. The object of spiritual work is to focus on your needs in the present moment, asking spirit for your highest good, she says. Now, if you'd like to meet her in person, she has some upcoming events, I believe this weekend. universalhealingarts.com in Cortland Manor, New York. Her Facebook page is The Art of Soul of Mediumship. Okay, and she should be joining us just literally in 3 minutes. Anything you'd like to say about any upcoming events before we get on with Stacy Schaffer?
Yes, let's see. Next week, I still have some tickets available for our psychic night at Icarus Brewing. If you're in the New Jersey area, you want to stop down to the shore, great place, new facility. It is phenomenal. And we're going to have a great night there. You can just jump onto either my Facebook page, Eye of the Spirits of Michael Edley, or jump on to my website, anywhere on there. It'll give you a link somewhere to what's going on. But if you jump onto my Facebook page, you can get a link right to the tickets and get your tickets and show up, and we're going to have a great time. And that's, I believe, the 20th. Is that the 20th? I have so many dates right now, I can't keep track of them all, but I believe that's the 20th.
What is your event tomorrow night? You have an event tomorrow night. What are you doing tomorrow night?
Yes, tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, actually, what's funny is there was originally, we had a psychic event thing going on like that we normally do, and that got shifted out. And it's interesting. So I haven't talked about it a lot now on the air or anything like that, but I'm going to be doing some cold case work, and I'm going to be doing, so I have a couple things that are going to be coming up, and it's going to be really interesting, and I'm going to be working, with some private investigators. I'm going to be working with, a few different people that have been around, and there's some cool things. So I'll share that a little later on, but I'm going to be doing a little bit of that. And then I have, let's see, some stuff going on over the weekend, stuff next week. It's all, I can't keep track of it. I'm gonna be going up to Canada soon, so I got a little trip up there. I'm gonna be going up to upstate New York, hitting up Lilydale, New York. If anyone you would be a great candidate to just take a road trip up to Lilydale. You should, since you're pretty close.
Lilydale.
Yeah, phenomenal spiritualist colony up there. So
here's Stacy Schaffer. Hi, Stacy.
Here I am. Hi.
Hi.
Can you see me?
Not yet.
Hello, Stacy. How are you?
Welcome to Two Psychics.
Welcome to Two Psychics.
Very Amy.
Thank you for having me. It's so nice to see you both.
Oh,
yes, you too. That is excellent. So it's very cool. I think you're the first. I think Stacy is the first medium other than myself that we've had on the show, right?
Pretty much that's just medium. I mean, they do astrology and energy healing and
well, Stacy does a lot too. So one thing I'm curious about, we'll get into that a little bit later, is how you incorporate all the different things you do into your mediumship, especially the astrology. I find that very fascinating. But what I always want to know, is what was the story? Is this something you experienced from a young child? Were you open to, was it a religious family and you kind of open to it, veered away? Like what was the journey? How did the journey start?
Oh my God, my family couldn't have been more traditional than traditional. This was not in my vocabulary at all from the beginning. But I think like most people, it kind of starts with the door opening. I mean, my background is a little bit like I went to law school, so I practiced law for a little bit. And while I was in law school, I mean, I was always sort of interested in things other, right? So I'm totally dating myself, but this is back in the 90s, late 90s. I went to the bookshop. I bought a book. I bought a book on how to meditate and visualize because I wanted to see, okay? And it was pretty effective. I was very like studious, and I sat down every day and I did my meditation. But back then, nobody told you about hearing things. So they didn't talk about clairaudience. I had no idea about clairaudience. So I had an experience where I heard something and it was in a context that it wasn't like just out of nowhere. I was talking to somebody and I heard something like in my head. So, and it was a prediction essentially, and it came
Mm.
true. It came true a few weeks later, but it wasn't like the happiest of predictions. So I was a little bit like, oh my God, I'm hearing voices. What's wrong with me? So I put things to bed for a very long time, but I still knew that something was other and more to
Mm.
what we are. And then I was honestly, I was practicing law and I went out for lunch and I was in Manhattan at 52nd and Madison Avenue and I heard out of, again, in my head, out of nowhere, clear the channel.
Mm.
And that really like kind of, I was like, all right, clear the channel. Let's do that. And
Mm.
so then I started studying healing and mediumship. And so it all came together. And I was always interested in astrology ever since
Mm.
I was young. So, but I don't really, it's so interesting. You said, how do you put it all together? The
Mm.
astrology I really feel is a little bit separate. Of course,
Okay.
I'm intuitive.
Mm.
And so when I look at a chart, I kind of get the feel.
Yeah, yeah, nice. Okay.
And then I go in for the reading of the chart.
You know what I'm really curious about? Let's take a step back and
Yeah.
talk about when you were practicing. Now you were working for a law firm, you were practicing law, or what was that?
Yeah. So
That was
out of law school, I worked for a big law firm and
mm,
I didn't really take to that kind of work. So I left. I had my
mm,
family, I had kids, and then I went back to work. So I worked in legal services for
mm.
an arts nonprofit.
What I'm curious about when you were doing the legal stuff and you were kind of in that zone, were you experiencing intuitive guidance or intuitive hits that were kind of directing you through that, or like kind of veering you away from that, or you were kind of closed off to that?
Yeah, no, so actually it was really interesting. So at one point I kind of thought, God, these people are having spiritual problems, not legal problems
Mm,
necessarily.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like, and I don't even know where that came from. I just said it one day. And then another day
Mm,
I kind of said to a colleague that worked with me, I sometimes know what people need before they do. And
mm,
I don't know, like I would not consciously say that. It literally just flew right out of my mouth
mhm.
because I don't think that way. Like I wasn't thinking that way. So yeah, it was like trying to get in. It was trying to get my attention, I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah. Your soul was screaming, scream,
It
letting it out.
was it was like, get me out of here. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Or
Oh,
open me
that's
up.
interesting. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
open me up, really. So
Mm, that's very cool. And what's interesting too, do you feel like was it a very religious, like a very Catholic family that you were in growing up, or what type of like religious structure was it?
yeah, Jewish.
Oh, Jewish. Oh, okay, okay.
Jewish.
Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so imagine like my surprise when, like Mother Mary is coming to
Yeah, yeah.
visit me and
Now,
Father Jesus.
have you looked into like any of the ancient Jewish mysticism, any of the Kabbalah, or any like talk a little bit about that. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I can't claim to know that much.
Yeah.
It's very esoteric.
Mhm.
So I sort of feel like, I get a little too in my head with it,
Mm.
frankly. So because I feel like it's very, very intellectual in that way,
Yeah.
but I haven't studied it enough to really kind of speak intelligently about it.
Mhm.
But it's fascinating. I mean, really, most of my experience, I would say, it really has nothing to do with my religion as I grew up, essentially.
Yeah, it's interesting. And what I find, see, I grew up in it was an interesting mix of spirituality and very traditional religion. I had half my family Hungarian Romney gypsies, off the
Oh,
boat into
cool.
the US, and
Yeah.
my grandmother on the other side, a devout Catholic, but if she lost something, it was dear Saint Anthony and she would find it. It was very connected to the angels and saints. And
Yeah.
but what I found was a lot of people that have that organized religious background, sometimes it kind of pushes them out of this medium. Sometimes we feel, oh, we need to go to the priest, or we need to go to the rabbi. They're the intercessors. It's not meant for me. And I feel like it puts a fear in us, and some, like me as a child, I was very fortunate. My family didn't institutionalize me, didn't think I was crazy. They let me roll with it. So that was, that I'm blessed by that. But
Yeah.
what I see more often is, people have this fear. They were scared, and it makes them fearful of that divine connection that we should all embrace, and it's
Yeah.
interesting. So I was just curious, and I'm always curious I always find when I'm speaking to I talk to a lot of different mediums, and it's interesting, people that have these epiphanies, these awakenings that happen so powerfully like you did, usually somewhere in their childhood they were still opened and tuned into this, and like whether it was traditional religion that still kind of gave them the understanding that there is more and there's a spiritual realm, but so I think that does have something to do with it.
Yeah,
I think it helps open us.
yeah, I mean, sure. When I was young, I was very like high vibe kind of a person. I was a singer, I was artistic, So I think that's certainly, I mean, I'm still artistic. I paint. So it's just, and actually it's really interesting because I think when I'm painting, I'm kind of talking to like other beings essentially of like the choices that I make, and like I feel like I'm helped. I feel like I'm pushed and helped while I'm doing that kind of
Yeah, and
working.
I think that's probably the biggest blessing as mediums that we get from this. It's just when we can see, that release of grief, or we can see that someone now understands, their loved ones in spirit are with them, or they're not alone and the divine is connected to them. It's such a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. And you talked about people having some fear from religion before just a few minutes ago. And one of the best readings that I mean, it was a transformative for me because, as you know, as a medium, every time you do a reading, it transforms you in some
Yeah.
way, helps you grow. And I was reading for like a Southern Baptist, I mean, really like evangelical, that kind of background for this woman.
Mm.
And I said, your mother's saying that there's no religion here. So no religion where she is on the
Exactly.
other
Yeah.
side.
It's
And
a
the
human
mother,
construct.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
mother was this, Bible person, like really would did not would not have looked fondly on the fact that she was coming to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, just that one reading, I was like, wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow. So,
Isn't that cool? So such a cool thing.
it's I mean, you said the word blessing before, and it truly is. It's a blessing for all parties, frankly. The
Yeah.
medium, the person, the loved one, and the person in spirit who can, use us to. I mean, I think it's a religious experience. I mean, talk about
Oh yeah,
religion.
it is. I think it's truly, like, if you want to think about, the ancient cultures and the experiences they had, I would definitely say mediumship is probably that is an aspect of probably what they were doing back then, and they were just totally opened and tuned into it, knew that their loved ones were still connected, and it was just part of everyday life, and I feel like it was just a different understanding back then, and we lost that, and
Yeah.
fortunately people like us are bringing it back.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that
we're
because
bringing it back.
I've been
Yeah.
I've been thinking lately, like, why all of a sudden I feel like all the mediums, the angel people, the Reiki masters, like it's just like I feel exploding. And it maybe
Yeah.
for me it's more, in the last 10 years, but it just feels like there has to be some reason and purpose for it. So I'm so curious to see what
Absolutely.
that is. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's
just think
phenomenal.
I'm hoping to make the world a little bit of a better place. That's really the
You,
impetus.
you know what? It's funny talking to another medium. If I have just different things coming to me around you, can I share that? Do you mind me sharing just a few things?
Go
You talk
for
about
it.
you being an artist.
Yeah.
Have you ever? You may do this already. I don't know, but if you're not doing this already, I would definitely suggest it. I see you painting auragraph. I don't. Are you familiar with auragraphs, where if you can paint, you're a great art. If you're an artist, you can. There's other mediums that do it. They paint the aura and the energy they see around their client and the different things in it, and it's almost like a whole energetic portrait, and it's just so beautiful. And I see you doing that.
Oh, thank you. So it's interesting because I do portraits, and
Mm.
actually, one of the things that kind of pushed me again in this direction. So it wasn't like this, like, awakening, an aha awakening. I call it, like, for me, more of like a slow burn. There were so many things
Mm.
over the years that really pushed me in this direction. And when I was, when I'm painting portraits, what happened was, is I started to see like faces
Mm.
around and beings, for lack of a better word, around the person that I was
Yeah,
painting.
yeah.
So I think that whole aurograph thing, I do
So
it
you can capture
naturally.
that and paint it. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that could be
Yeah.
something really special for you if you pursue that. I definitely see very, very, very positive energy around that.
Thank you. Okay.
So I figured I'd
Share
just
it.
share it.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you, Michael.
I see Mary Amy over there writing. She got some
I just
questions for
started.
you.
I can't
Yeah,
stop.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I have a question, but I'm going to start by I'm just going to tell you what I received. First, my question is going to be related to angels and what experiences, but about you, I got poetic and then ships and then waves, like these very high highs and low lows, and your energy moves like a very big wave, like a tsunami wave, where it's like that's how you masterfully go through every aspect of your life in like a very big way. You don't, it's not small for you, it's big. You're capable of removing all black darkness totally from a situation, whether it's with clients or yourself. And I see a pie shape and you alone, right? You have this ability to really have strong self-care, and you divide every aspect of your life very equally and thoroughly. Um, and you have a central idea when you come up with concepts, like that creative aspect of you is very strong with everything you do. You're a deep thinker, you're a survivor. That's what I got.
1,000% true. I love it. I didn't know I was going to get a reading. Thank you.
No, sometimes it just happens. Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, and I mean, just the poetic, very much so. I mean, I used to write poetry and still do sometimes, so that definitely tracks. And about I mean, I think self-care as a medium is paramount. So I'm going to
Yeah.
say that. And I do, I mean, I didn't say this about myself. A mentor said it about me. She's like, you can just walk anywhere and sort of clear a room. And I mean, not in a bad way, in like a good way.
I got that. It's very thorough. I don't know. It's an ability that you have. I don't know if it's conscious, but it's something that it's not like you had to train to do it. You just can do it. And you've gradually actually gotten better at it. So about angels, tell me experiences about angels. Do you have any experiences with angels?
Well, it's so interesting. My background is blurred. You can't see my angel that I painted in the back. But the first experience I had with an angel was not like somebody said they were trying to read me in like a sort of a mediumship reading, and she says, "Well, I can't. It's hard for me to find a person because there's so many angels around you." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay." And ever since she said that, it sort of opened up like my experience with angels. Now, what was really interesting is as a medium, I have been in development and have development circles and people that I work with. And a group that I worked with for a long time, and they're very close friends. At one point I said, like, does anybody else notice like the big angel in the room? But the funny thing was, is he kind of looked like a linebacker to me. He didn't look like what you would think of as like a pretty angel. He was like literally like I wouldn't want to mess with him on a football field or any field. He just had that like protective energy. And so one of the people that I was working with, he said, well, I was asking for an angel to come. And so I intuited the angel. There was just something else that came into my head that I was going to say. And of course I can't remember it about angels, but yeah, I mean, when I do readings, sometimes they'll come, right? So I remember somebody wanted to know about their guides, and I said, well, I'm not necessarily seeing a guide, but Asriel is here for you. And it wasn't in the sense of Azrael was going to prepare this person for the transition. It was actually that she had been helping others make their transitions. And so Azrael was working with her. So yeah, I mean, if I can remember the other example, I'll say it, but yeah, just, I sort of feel, oh, I remember. I was in a energy healing class and we were supposed to go to the angelic realm. All right. So we were channeling the angelic realms, and the facilitator then said, well, what was your experience of the angelic realms? And a couple people were like, oh, it was so nice, it was so pretty, it was so flowy. And I kind of raised my hand, like thinking I had done something wrong. And I said, it was super busy. It was like they have no time to waste. It felt kind of like like an office in, like, you know, like the 40s with like all the typewriting going on, and like, you know, people sending messages down the chutes and all this. It just felt like supremely focused and busy, like so busy that I can even remember feeling like my energy like lifted because it was that important, right? So I feel like the angels they never stop. They never stop. And they're like their energy, I mean, I'm getting chills now. Their energy is just so high and fine, and that really, like, you know, like the heartbeat of God, like that kind of energy. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Well, no, but it's not even, it's your experience is your experience. So
Yeah.
whatever you give is the answer.
Yeah.
I like, because, you know, everyone's has their own, you know, interpretation or understanding, and I wonder, as you were speaking, I wanted to ask you the fact that you, from your upbringing, your learning in your religion, how is that kind of changed for you? Is it that you, I mean, you obviously have a lot of faith and you believe, and isn't that really the core of everything? But how is that kind of, has that shifted at all? Because you did mention Mother Mary and Jesus.
Yeah. So it was a big shift for me. I mean, look, I studied art history in college, and so I took this class called Late Antique and Early Christian Art, and this was my first experience with any kind of like religious iconography that was Christian. So I mean, I didn't really think too much of it at the time, but you know, I feel like that sort of, again, sort of dipped my toe into it. But now I just sort of take Mother Mary, Jesus as just natural, and Mary Magdalene, can't forget Mary Magdalene either. But yeah, these, you know, these, I don't even want to say sort of religious figures, these masters, I think I'll call them masters, just are part of part of what I feel the truth is. But that doesn't make me, I mean, but I still, like, you know, say I'm Jewish. I'm still consider myself to be Jewish. I just have as far as I'm concerned, just a wider um a wider circle of friends. I mean, in that way.
Expanded view.
What did you say?
Expanded view.
Yes,
You're seeing
exactly.
the whole picture.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, again, nobody was more surprised than I was to have an experience with Mother Mary and Jesus. And I mean, wonderful. So I feel blessed.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Now, kind of along on the journey and how it unfolded, I'm just curious, kind of backpedaling a little bit, but out of, you know, removing yourself from the the law firm, right? I guess that's kind of releasing from that end of things.
Yeah.
And it was probably you had to be your soul pushing you out of that. Where, like, again, what was the unfolding? What was the process? Like, what were some of the crazy initial things that started happening that you were like, wow, something is really happening here, and I need to pay attention. I need to see what's going on.
Okay. So I will say this, it wasn't all like roses and
Mm.
angels.
Yeah, yeah.
There were periods that were very low
Mm.
and very challenging.
Yeah,
So I kind of feel that it's important to say that just
yeah.
because you know,
And the beautiful thing, though, I think that's part of the process. And I think as a medium, it's all because same thing. I mean, my path wasn't easy. It was a roller coaster ride, and as crazy could be, but it prepared me. And I think the same for you. I think we go through that journey and that dark night of the soul, so we're prepared.
yes. Well, yes. I mean,
And we have a different understanding.
yeah, I feel like there has to be a certain like depth that
Yeah.
you get that you receive during this kind of unfold. It's really an unfoldment
Yeah.
process.
Mm.
And so, it wasn't like I wasn't a caring person or anything like that, but I needed some sort of gravitas. And so I pretty much had everything hit me all at once back, during this initial awakening period. And when I say that, I mean, I had divorce, I had death, I had moving, and then I had starting at working at a very, very demanding professional job. So this sort of set me into and then I had another heartache. Um, and that sort of all set me into a very deep depression. And so, I did all the things that you're supposed to do to take care of yourself during that kind of a time. And, it didn't really work. They didn't really work. And so there was a point where I had to decide. I actually literally just decided, like, okay, I have to be different and I have to change. And so that meant changing a lot of the outer circumstances in my life, because they weren't matching like the inner vibration.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have said that at the time. I didn't have that kind of vocabulary, but I sort of did that.
Mm.
So, and then having my family, having children was important to me. So I chose to do that. And then once I had them, I think it was, they say motherhood changes you. Well, it certainly changed me. And it's like the turning of the screw or something. A light went on when I had my kids. And it was like, oh, okay, I have like a deeper sense of responsibility and a deeper responsibility to my own soul to be an example for them.
Oh, well.
So that was part of what kind of led up all to this. Again, it's like in steps and steps and steps. And then and I did have some very dark nights of the soul where I had negative spiritual experiences, I'll just say that. And I had to pray. And I just put my hands together and I said, oh Lord, please help me. And then nothing disappeared. So when you go to the source and you ask for that kind of help, and I think that, people go through these kinds of things every single day where they just feel like, oh my God, I need help, right? So, and I was lucky. I say this a lot. I say I'm lucky because I somehow just knew to do that in this kind of dire situation. I asked for help and it came. So every time like you exercise faith and faith works, it becomes belief, right? So that helped in order to like strengthen my inner resolve that you need, because as a medium and even as a light worker, any kind of light worker, you really do need to have that inner resolve, because there's so much that comes at you that could be skeptical or that, people's questionings that they don't believe. And so you have to really have that rock bottom, that bedrock of faith inside of you. But it's not always there from the beginning. Some people are super lucky and blessed and they got it, from the time they're small and all throughout. But that wasn't my story and that wasn't my path. So it was really like I said before, like an unfoldment, and then a decision to go into development for mediumship. And then it just opened up the whole world for me. I mean, it's not just about, I mean, we can always, it's great to speak to the people that have crossed over. But then, you know, I started having other experiences like with angels, like with star people. And sometimes they come to me during readings too. I mean, I did a reading for a woman. I got a granny. And then I was like, would you mind if we talk about aliens? And she was like, no, go ahead. So it was like she knew.
Mm.
But all of this, it all comes in. So as a very long answer to your question, it's
No, that's good.
just
Well, and I think one important thing, like anyone listening to the show, anyone out there that's had these, you know, religious, spiritual experiences their whole life, or started having them just recently, later in life, I think it's really important for everyone to understand, you know, we all possess these abilities. It's just a matter of opening and tuning into them, you know, and sometimes just life gets in the way and it doesn't happen till later. But yeah, it's something that everyone needs to understand is we all have this gift, you know, and yeah.
We do. And you said fear, and it's really interesting because once you start to open, I mean, we're talking a lot about religion here, you know, sort of all of the old ideas and all the old conditioning for what you might have come up in a religion, you know, that actually can color the experience, right? That can influence like how you're reacting and responding to something that could actually be a wonderful, beautiful experience. But because if you have that kind of background, you might say, oh no, that's not.
Yeah, some preconceived notion around whatever that is, and it skews our whole view of it. Yeah, absolutely.
1,000%.
I realize that a lot of us who've gone into this kind of niche field, just getting more powerful as we go, we have kind of shut down aspects of ourselves or turned it away because it wasn't acceptable, whether it's related to your upbringing or what's going on in society. And we get nudged and kind of pushed it off the cliff, and we have no choice because sometimes what's going on in our life isn't working anymore, and we're suffering, and it grows more and more and more within us. Our spirit wants us to break free. I really appreciate your honesty with what you just said when you said a long explanation, because it was relatable. What you said was very relatable. And star people, oh, we have a psychic reading. Can we all do this together?
We don't want to put you on the spot, Stacy. So it's okay. But if you want to sit in with us, you're more than welcome.
We had one earlier. Now we have another one. So 8:45. Okay.
Hey, I'll sit in. I mean, I might not say anything, but I'll totally be here. I love it.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Hi, this is Mary, Michael, and Stacy. How are you tonight?
Hello, who's with us tonight?
Ooh, hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to be on video or if I'm not.
Oh, we can see you now. Yes. And we can see a name. It's Cindy. Hello, Cindy. Welcome to Two Psychics. Pleasure having you.
How are you?
Cindy, you're meeting our guest tonight, which is Stacy Schaffer, a medium.
Yes, you are in good company. You are in good company. So
how exciting.
Did you have a certain question or a certain aspect of something going on with you that you wanted us to key in on or see the energy around, or what?
Not really. I kind of wanted to just get the vibe and see where this goes.
All right, cool. So we're going to connect on an energetic level. So what I'd like you to do, if you could just give us your first name, just slowly, and we're going to open to your energy and we're going to connect to you on an energetic level.
Okay, it's Cindy.
All right. What's interesting, Cindy, I'll share with you a little bit of how I get the energy, how the energy comes to me. It's interesting when you say your name, I have a lot of energy coming into my right side. When it comes into my right side, it's always connected to dad's side of the family, not necessarily dad, but dad's side of the family. What's interesting is I'm hearing, so the month of September, And now I don't think I'm hearing Cool in the Gang song September, but I'm hearing it in music. But is there significance around dad or dad's side of the family, or the September date? Is there something to that?
I don't think so.
Interesting. So let me talk about also around that. So it's definitely older energy connected to dad. So let me ask, dad is still here? Or
Dad is still here.
Yeah. Okay. So now dad's dad is in spirit, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there an F associated with him, or maybe not his name, but could be tied into the family or tied around him? An F?
Yeah. I mean, that's my dad's name starts with an F.
Okay. So yeah, so grandpa is referring to the F, referring to dad and his connection. So he's giving me the F, kind of confirming that's his connection to the family. He's bringing my awareness. Is there a young daughter connected to you, young female, or right around the family? Was there a girl born, or is there a young female, a daughter connected to you that he's talking about?
I mean, I have 3 daughters.
Okay, there's 3 daughters. Did someone just recently have a birth? Was there a birth in the family, or someone pregnant? Is there a birth going to happen?
Now you're making me think.
No. He's talking about, okay, so I'll share it. So he's talking about the girls, because he's talking about your daughters. Now, what's interesting, did he know what was there? I feel like he knew one and like 2 he didn't, or something. Was there one he knew, or one he could have seen great grandpa or something like that, or some connection to him and 2 there weren't? I feel like he's talking about one of them specifically. I don't know why. I don't know if one is navigating something right now, or he knew that one, or it's the one he's talking about getting pregnant. Is there an A connected? Is there an A connected to one of them? An association, a work, like a significant other, a good friend, and Anne and Amy, or unless he's giving me one of their names.
For my daughters, I'm sorry.
Yeah. What's the A? Who is the A?
Oh.
No, I don't want you to think
A is my sister.
A?
A is my sister, yeah.
Okay. So they're definitely dropped. So obviously I'm bringing through a lot of information really quick. We're going to spend so the A, so that's why I asked him, who are you talking about with the females? He's honoring the daughters, but so the A, okay, so the A, your sister, is she navigating something right now? Is there like a situation? I don't know if this could be, obviously I'm not a doctor, not medical advice, but is there something is there an energetic cycle that she's navigating?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, and there's no one around her that's pregnant? There's not a daughter connected to her that's pregnant or getting pregnant?
No, her daughter's young.
Okay, not sure, but he's bringing my awareness. But I would definitely say, so let me just, because there's 3 of us, we're gonna hand it off. But I could definitely say the energy connected to grandfather is watching over the family. He's bringing, specifically giving me some initials, some names. The longer we connect on an energetic level, more information that's going to come through. But he's connection to your father, definitely strong. Interesting thing. I just got to throw this in. I don't know. What is the deal with dad and like a small business, or like an entrepreneurial venture that he's doing? Are there small business owners in your family, or connected to him and his family?
I mean, my dad always had small businesses. He was a self-employed.
Okay, cool. It's funny, because that's what he's talking. That's what grandpa's talking about. He's talking about someone else in the family understanding. I think someone's afraid to take the jump of starting their own business, or there's an entrepreneurial venture. Could be you, and I don't know if husband is not so on board with it, or you're a little scared of it. Talking about an entrepreneurial venture around the family that should be taken, because there's prosperity around that. And someone's fearful, but they're fearful because someone's influencing that fear that's close to them. So it's making them nervous and hesitant that they're not making the right decision. But I do believe it is the right decision of moving forward in that entrepreneurial venture. It may just be moving cautiously right now with the economic conditions, but these economic conditions for an entrepreneur could present tons of opportunity. But I want to just honor grandfather. I want to honor, the F, he's connect dad, and also just be aware of your sister, the A, and possibly around her or something tied into her, like a new birth or a pregnancy, not her specifically, but
Okay.
someone around her. I feel like he's bringing it up, and it could be. Now, let me ask you this though, and I'm running on. The energy is just going, and I don't want to disconnect from his link. Is someone your daughter's like recently? Is there one married or one trying to get pregnant or something around a pregnancy around one of your daughters?
My daughters?
Yeah.
Well, no,
Or are they
one's in
really young? Are they
college.
really young? The
One's in
college?
college, one's in a senior in high school, and one's 15.
Okay, so I would definitely say, yeah, I'm not, not making you paranoid. Don't worry about a daughter getting pregnant or anything like that. I do believe that's why he gave me the A, because he's bringing my focus to around that area of the family.
Okay.
So I'm gonna leave you with that, with love and light. I want to honor Grandpa and his connection to the family watching over you. Just understand he's like a guardian angel. So that's kind of the energy he brings.
Okay.
And he definitely is supporting the entrepreneurial venture, whether that's yours or someone close to you. So put a lot of focus on that.
Okay, great.
Okay, I don't know if Stacy or Mary wants to go next, but you're in good hands.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll throw my hat in. Okay, this is what I received, Cindy. It's very interesting. I received immediately stairs going upward, okay, positive, up and out. And I received, I've never had this, where a lot of shapes were involved with you. Now I tune into your sound, I'm not looking at you. So a spiral out, okay, so it's, like a spiral, you would say a vortex, okay, and then a zigzag. Okay, what does this all mean? Well, I got that you were tied up too long and you need to be free. You need to be unwound. Okay.
Okay.
You're away from, you have to get away from the things that are going on in your life. And you need some closure. Okay.
Okay.
The central part, there's a central point of you that is wonky, and it's not developed because it's related to your spirit, your physical body. It's related to your past, not necessarily past life, but something that you came onto this earth within you. Okay, so it's not all balanced and in harmony. So you're trying to, that's why I got all these shapes. You're trying to advance yourself and connect everything, and it's not. Okay, I received a lot of sounds and tones, like you're separated, is what I'm trying to tell you. Your spirit and your physical body, it's not all together, and it's complicated. Okay.
Okay.
There's a long answer to where you choose to go. Okay, if that makes any sense to you, a long answer about where you choose to go. And that's because you're not in harmony. You've been tied up for too long. So what I'm suggesting, and I don't usually do this, but what I received was, and you can't take logical suggestions, at least, I don't want to say logical, out in the physical reality, someone was, this is what you should do because this is the answer. What I'm trying to say is, no. I suggest something like, for you, a retreat to release everything, some kind of sabbatical of your choosing, like go research that. This is a suggestion to try to pull out and kind of try to iron it out and get it all together, like, because you're like a ball of clay that has to form itself. You're not formed because you're so separated.
Gotcha.
And you need there's some closure that you really need. There's something tragic within you that you're trying to feel better about.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Let me, I'm just the guest. So let me see. I'm not used to the energy here. So let me just try, because, well, when you first, hi, Cindy, I'm Stacy.
Hi. Hi, Stacy.
Yes. Hi. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And you do actually do have a really pretty smile, so I'm going to say
Ah,
that. But
thank you.
as soon as you came on, I don't know why, but I felt like medical around you. I don't know that there's a medical issue, but I feel medical around you. Do you work in the doctor's office or
I
something?
do not. I do
Okay.
not.
Not, and there's no medical thing around you.
Meaning something's wrong with me
No,
or
no, 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 no. I feel like I'm around, like, I don't know, just medical is what I felt. So if you can't take it, that's okay. But
yeah, no, that's
and then the other thing I felt was like cats. Okay. Do you
what's what?
understand
I'm sorry.
cats, like the animals? You understand
Okay.
cats? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you understand that as like having cats or liking them?
I actually don't like cats.
That's so interesting. I'm getting all of the I call it the opposite day. Um, okay, so you don't like cats, so I'm
No,
putting
I'm
you.
allergic to them.
Okay, gotcha. And then for you, I actually feel sort of in line with the way that Mary was reading. I feel like there's a lot of like ancestors around you. And I feel like they are there to ground you and to further you on your journey. Okay. I feel as if like the mother side is very important. All right. And is mom still with us? She's still with us, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like there's like a big influence from her side of the family and her. Okay.
Okay.
So let's see what do I want to say about mom. So I feel like mom's opinions are really important. Do you understand mom's opinions being important for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, but I also feel like there is a point where you're trying to kind of get away from always being under those opinions. You understand?
Yeah.
And so like this is I like what I was saying with Mary, I feel like this is like the time to do that. All right.
Okay.
It's not that you don't love your mother, but it's just like there's this thing about like her opinion. It's like an opinion is different than a viewpoint, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
opinions. So,
Yeah.
because you're entering a really, I would say it's very a pivotal time for you. Okay. Um, let me ask a little bit more about that, the pivotal time. Yeah, it's pivotal and it's like exciting too. All right. So I feel like the field is opening up. I don't know if this is in line with what Michael and Amy were saying about, what you might be doing going forward, but it seems to be like I would even say magical. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, right. That's pretty good. Magical time.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that I feel like you're leaving behind a lot of the stuff. All
Okay.
right. And because there's just leaving behind the stuff and the desire to leave behind the stuff, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually more important. All right.
Yes.
The desire, so that you're willing to welcome new and different like people, maybe like us, into your lives,
Mm-hmm.
and to be open to this kind of a situation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, are your daughters like high achievers?
My daughters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're super high. They're like, wow.
Mhm.
I wish my kids would. Um, I jest. No, but they feel like they're really, and I also feel like they want it, like they want to make you proud of them too. Like, so there's part of that is like the impetus for them to really like, you know, really excel actually.
Yeah.
Sort of, I even think, are you even amazed by it? Like it's beyond what you even expected? Is there that
I
too?
mean, they're just so smart and so kind. And, I always say that my kids were brought here to teach me something.
Okay, for sure,
So
for
yeah.
sure. In fact, I just said that like 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah. So I think that they appreciate you, they respect you, I feel like as mom, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
And because I was going to say something, you don't know, you might not know that, but I don't know that they're like expressing it so much to you, but I feel the respect for you.
Oh, okay, good.
And let's see, unless you have a question, I think I'm going to wrap up with your kids are awesome, and you're moving on from old patterns.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cindy, for calling in. I'll kind of close and wrap things up in this reading, but I just have to ask, is it you or like a spouse? Are you with the entrepreneurial venture? What's the deal with that?
My partner and I, well, yeah, my partner and I are just starting a new business.
Okay, because
Um,
Grandpa keeps talking about it, and he's not letting me go while they're talking. He was just
oh
rattling away.
wow,
So
that's
we're
so
gonna.
funny. Yeah, and we're a little frustrated.
Is
We're
this so? Let me ask: is this So I hear wellness, healing, spa. What's the deal with this? What there's some so
it's
if
actually a bath renovation company.
uh, well, okay, interesting. That's what I'm seeing,
Yeah.
like spa. Well, interesting. I'm getting all that symbolism from Grandpa. Yeah, I think take your time with it, due diligence. What's interesting, what he talks about, just know you. Okay, so your partner in the business, you just so where the concerns are, just you really need to know this person. You really need to know if there's troubled times or there's problems, that this person is gonna have your back and be solid, and is gonna be just as tuned in and just as dedicated as you are. So now I don't like you don't want the one person putting in 110% in a new business venture and the other person putting in 80%. You got
Yeah.
to make sure they're coming with the same passion and fire as you, because there's going to be those moments where it's that passion and that fire that's going to pull you through it. If that other person doesn't have it, they're going to drag you down slightly. So right now, that's where I want you to focus on the groundwork of this, and
Okay.
think about the people, the connections, people that you're going to be helping, people that you're going to be working with, people you'll be hiring. Think about the types of people you want to associate with and you want in your energy.
Okay.
Don't just look at who's good on paper, who's got, great sales history, and,
Interesting. Okay.
look at the energy of the people. And again, actions speak louder than words. Look at their actions. Do their actions match what they're saying? The actions are the truth, not the words. So
Right.
just that's what. So Grandpa was very astute. And what's interesting is what's the Mediterranean connection? What it's at Italy, Greek? What's the deal? Why am I being pulled overseas?
Oh, I'm actually planning a trip, hopefully, with my entire family, my mom, my dad, to Italy,
There
my
you go.
brother
Okay.
and my sister and my kids. So it's
Okay.
like Italy,
You
Spain.
need to do it. So it's good,
Okay.
really good energy. There's like a camaraderie and a unity that's going to bring everyone together, that's needed. It's
Okay.
interesting, the energetic cycle that Stacy and Mary had talked about. That's what I'm feeling. There's like so I would definitely say there's some apprehension from people around you. So I don't know who's a little nervous, who's
Yes.
worried. That's okay. You got to understand they're projecting their own worries and concerns onto you. It's not your thing, but understand that could also be from a space of protection and love.
Yeah.
I don't want this person to go out on a limb and fail. But that's fine. It's fine. And it's okay, because that's them. That's their worries. That's their concerns. It's not yours.
Okay.
So just don't let that energy infiltrate and overtake your energy. So be very
Okay.
aware of that. And if that's, someone that's very connected to you, then give them their space or what they need, and maybe sit down and have that conversation. Look, I understand these are the thoughts, but this is how I'm planning this out. This is how I'm strategizing. This is my approach, and I have to do
Yeah.
this. If I don't do this, I'm not going to be happy. My soul is going to feel unfulfilled. So for me to be who I need to be, I need to do this, and they need to
Right.
understand that. So, and I don't know why I'm presenting this to you in this way, but that's what they're showing me. And I feel like that's gonna be the biggest breakthrough in a little bit of this chaotic energy that's going on around you right now.
Okay.
All
All right.
right. So thank you so
Sounds
much,
great.
Cindy.
Thank you
Thank you,
guys. This
and
was wonderful.
good luck on the venture.
Treat.
It's
Okay,
a
don't
lot of
forget.
prosperity around.
Retreats, yes, retreats.
Some kind of retreat for yourself.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
and the vacation.
Yes. Hopefully. Yes.
But thank you
Thank
so
you
much for
guys
calling
so
in.
much.
Thanks
Stay
for
well.
joining us.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care.
Well, thanks for doing that. That was nice that you joined us.
Yeah, we apologize. We didn't mean to put you on the spot, but sometimes you got such great energy. You just jump right in there and doing it right with us. So
That's okay. That's okay. It's interesting. I picked up on things she was allergic to, but
oh,
okay.
wow. Yeah. Huh. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that
That's
is.
well, that's
Something
what
else.
happens. I think that's the cool thing. I don't know if you've ever worked with another medium where you do like a double
Double
link.
link. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really
Yeah.
cool stuff. And there's some real magical stuff that can happen with that combination of energy.
Absolutely,
So
100%. But thank you. I mean, thank you for giving me the opportunity to read and to talk. You guys are fantastic. I love you guys.
and
You're
so are
great.
you. That's why we have you on.
Thank you.
Fun.
But thank you so much. And you're gonna have to keep us posted now. You have an event coming up. Tell
Yes.
tell
Tell us
everyone
about
out
the
there how
event.
they can contact you if they're interested in a reading or anything you're doing.
Well, oh, great. Thank you. You can always contact me on my website, which is just stacyschaffermedium.com. No E in Stacy. And I do readings out of Universal Healing Arts Center. It's in Cortland Manor. I have an event coming up. Let's see. I think the next event is really, Spirit Circle, Night of Spirit readings, June
Nice.
28th. But yeah, those are the couple places where you can find me and events. I'm always thinking of other events. Speaking of double links, another medium friend and I are putting something together. It's not quite baked yet, but when it
Nice.
is, I will announce it, and just
Very
looking
cool.
forward to new things. Yeah.
Absolutely. Open to all new possibilities, right?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. So thank you so much. This has been wonderful. So we've had this has been fun. This has been fun
Really
with
fun. This
all
is
of us
very
doing
strong
the reading. Yeah,
connection.
yeah, very cool.
It's very strong. It's very positive. I'm really grateful that you joined us because, people need to know who you are, and you'll come back next time, and maybe we'll talk about your astrology readings,
Oh, yeah.
because
There's so yeah, there's so you're gonna be back on, you know that, right? Because there's so much more we have to talk about.
Oh, look, honestly, anytime. You guys are fantastic. I'm so thrilled that you asked me on, and like I said, just give me a shout, and I'll make the time.
Nice. All right.
Thank you
Right.
so much, and have a great rest of the week. Here we are. We're headed into the summertime. I can't wait.
I know.
Yeah.
I'd like some sunshine, frankly, but okay. All right. Take care.
You too. Have a great rest of I don't know, the night, the week, the day.
Just everything.
Everything. Yes,
Everything.
absolutely. But thank you so much, Stacy. It's been wonderful having you on. And until next time, right? Until next time.
Okay, that feels great. Okay, that feels
Yes.
right. Okay, take care.
That's what feels right.
Okay. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was so much fun. I loved it. Really
What's
liked her
cool
energy.
what's cool for me, and this always happens when I'm working with another medium, we build off each other's energy. And it's funny, and you and I do that too, but it's funny when someone's like when it's full out mediumship though, and you're kind of connecting. It's interesting because as you and her were talking, literally it was building the energy, like the connection in me, where I was trying to pull back a little bit. It was literally no. The gates were opening. Grandpa was holding me and he had to get some information through. And spirit is funny. They will know when the opportunity is going to present itself for them to get a message through to their loved one. And she needed to hear that. And there was truly a beautiful energy cycle opening. And yeah, that small business thing, I think, it's so scary when you're jumping out and doing your own thing, but it's such a special thing, and I could, being an entrepreneur and, having my own company for 21 years, I wouldn't have done it any other way, even though it delayed this aspect of my life. It was like I had to go through all that and I had to experience it. So when I see that energy and I see the prosperity, and it's not just like, when I talk about prosperity, it's not just money. Like, prosperity is the freedom. It's being able to call your own shot, like that is something really special. And when you see that energy and someone can tune into that, I really feel like their loved ones, they see that, they want to guide them to it. And, more often than not, we have someone, in our ear, oh, that's scary. You got to worry about that, in addition to our own anxiety around that type of big jump, so you have to block that energy out. So anyone out there that's dealing with something like that, learn to harness your energy and not allow that external energy to infiltrate. Very, very important.
It's very exciting when you're starting a new project from ground zero, and it's an adventure. What can happen? And if you're driven to do it intuitively, it's in your heart, if you're all in, there's something there. And either it's a lesson, it's some kind of experience, and it's some kind of prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say, it's like when you receive information in your clear senses, whether it's hearing or seeing or your heart or some kind of knowing, and you grab that information and you add to it. You can either build it up and make it be something. Like when we do a read, we keep fleshing out the information, whatever it is, if it's a voice or an image or a sound or something, a symbol. It's the same when it comes to a person's involvement in a new project. What is that? It's how much they entertain it, and it can be something. What you said was very valuable. Make sure that the person that you're involved with is giving 100% as well, so that you're not carrying the load. It's like in any relationship, right? It's you want to make sure that, or not make sure, but hopefully when you go into some kind of business endeavor, the other person is actually equal with you, because that can be devastating if they're not. And
Yeah, you have to know.
Like, who you involved with.
And that's a big thing too.
That's why I have Michael Edley in my life, because he's a fabulous co-host, because me and him, it's a very, very harmonic balance. And you have a lot of integrity, and I do, and we are disciplined, and here we are. And so here we are.
Episode 50, right?
51. No, 51.
51.
51. Michael, 51.
That's right. Episode 51.
Yeah, here we go. So everyone out there, we had 2 readings tonight. It's interesting that all of a sudden it's turning. Things were blowing up here for 2 psychics. It's blowing up, everyone. Okay. People just were like, can I get a reading? I had somebody else, and I said, there's no room. Sorry, but there's no room. And it'll be next week. So next week, right? Is next week
episode 52?
Right. But is it May 29th or May 22nd? Right now, I don't have a guest. However, I might still have a guest, but May 29th, we're definitely having Kaylin Olson. Now, if you want to find out what's going on with us, you can always go to our Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, go to Two Psychics Podcast, and I follow whatever's going on. Whatever's going on with us, and it's also on my Mary Amy Facebook, and Michael Edley, and I Have the Spirits. And we both have Instagram, and I'm on X, but I post crazy. People probably, delete me for all the posting I do for this Two Psychics. So if you want to know who's coming on, look. And I do have 2 more people, but I didn't even get the information on them that we're going to have as guests upcoming. So look.
You have to like and follow our page to get the info.
Like our page, please, everyone. We have 1.4 followers and 1.6 something else, likes or something like that.
Yeah, we got it. We got to get 3,000. We're shooting for that 3,000. By
3
the end
million.
of the summer.
3 million. We've got to get 3 million.
3 million. Yeah, well, we're gonna get 3,000 first, and then we're shooting for 3 million.
Okay, before we go, I'd like you to show your what's your. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I happen to have it right here.
Yes.
Divine Journey of a Mystic Soul. If you need something to help you meditate, to get into the zone, to release all that nonsense from the daily human existence that we struggle with in that matrix, Divine Journey of a Mystic Soul will help you get there. Do you like that? Did I sound like I'm selling it?
No,
it's meditation. It's binaural tones, hemi-sync. It's meditative music that's healing. It can allow your mind to free itself. So if you're a practitioner, if you're a psychic, a medium, a healer, Reiki, whatever it is, this will help you get into the zone. It'll help you find that sweet spot to open that divine connection. So if you're or even if you're already there and you just want something really cool to listen to, help you get into the zone, Divine Journey of a Mystic Soul is it.
Is that on iTunes?
It's everywhere. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
So everybody out there, you don't
any
have to
streaming
go to
it's
CD.
any
You just
streaming.
go
It's
to
on.
iTunes. Michael
It's
Edwards.
on like 580 streaming platforms,
There you go.
so it's everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fantastic. Wonderful. And okay, well, everyone, here we were. Thank you so much for joining us. We had Stacy Schaffer. We'll be back again next week for episode 52. Michael, I'm wishing you well. Have a wonderful week.
I'm wishing you well
out there. Enjoy. I like running in the rain. I enjoy the rain, even though, it's not a sunny day like today. I'm all in for the rain. Go out and get some raindrops on you. Maybe tomorrow.
Just go out barefoot, ground. It doesn't matter if it's sunny
Walk
or
on the
raining.
grass
You
in
can
the
still
park.
ground.
Walk through the
ground
park
that
in
energy.
grass in solitude with no technology, please.
Yeah.
I get home from my job in the Matrix and I'm like, shut off the. I don't want to hear anything. No, because I need solitude. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Everyone's always plugged in. Unplug.
Turn
it off and
do a meditation.
Get into the zone. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will see you
We'll see you
next
soon,
week on
everyone.
Two
Be
Psychics.
well. Bye.